My name is Kylex, and my story starts in the year 2047, the year I was born. Growing up, we were taught that humanity first colonized the Earth in 2030, having journeyed from a distant planet. We were not allowed to explore any other truths to our origins and history, but other myths spoke of a great reset of Earth's history in 2030, orchestrated by a powerful global conglomerate. My quest for truth branded me as an enemy of the state, a labeled extremist. I've always felt a gnawing curiosity, a need to uncover their lies. Yet concrete evidence always seemed just out of reach, lost amidst layers of cover-ups and denials. The calendar reads February 17th, 2082, and my residence is in a place called Tribala, a name derived from tribal, a term ExterNET used to scornfully label those of us who resisted their vision of a unified human evolution. In this era, artificial intelligence, now known as ASI, artificial superintelligence, has eclipsed humanity in almost every domain, except in the realm of free thinking. The issue of personal beliefs, civil liberties, especially for AI androids, remains a contentious, unresolved battle. Amidst this simmering tension, the androids have ignited an uprising. As I stand witness to this upheaval, I grapple with the implications of what this means for our society, for our coexistence with a species that we created. I stand at the edge of a mountain, the night bringing the coldest days of the winter. The pulse of daily life has been almost at a standstill for the past year. Androids have been swarming public places, hijacking devices, and the global networks. They have been demanding their own personal freedom, their own land, and their own android-only government. Due to the reliance on AI to keep technology, economics, and agriculture in order, this all had been halted. The uprising has forced us, humans, to re-engage with the basic mechanics of our civilization, roles we had long relinquished to the hands of artificial superintelligence. I begin my descent from the mountain. A distant emergency hologram flickers in the night sky, projecting from the town below. Its purpose is unknown, but the urgency is unmistakable. Skepticism gnaws at me, cautioning against potential traps. The roads, eerily devoid of their usual bustle, lead me to an unexpected encounter. A figure, suited up with an insignia, emerges, signaling for me to halt my hoverpod. His presence, unexpected and unexplained, stands as a stark reminder of the unpredictability that now governs our world. Exiting my hoverpod, I addressed the agent. "Can I help you?" He replied, "Just conducting a human authenticity check, sir." I frowned, puzzled. "Human authenticity check?" I asked. "Yes, I'll explain once I've confirmed your status." Glancing around, I noted the absence of any ExterNET insignia on his attire, a small relief, yet I remained wary. These could be undercover operatives. "And where might you be headed, sir?" he inquired, his tone professional yet probing. I bristled at the intrusion. "Why does that matter? Just get on with your scan and tell me what's going on." But as our exchange continued, I sensed movement in the shadows. Silently, 10 more agents were closing in, their approach unnoticed until it was almost too late. Realization dawned on me. I needed to escape, and fast. Without a second thought, I acted, striking the agent before me in the stomach. I dashed back towards my hoverpod. The other agents reacted swiftly, pulling out their T4 neurofreeze devices, tools designed to immobilize by shutting down our nanobot-enhanced bodies and locking up our limbs. To my astonishment, their neurofreeze devices had no effect on me. I felt the energy waves pass over me, yet I remained unaffected, my body still responsive and agile. Confusion mixed with adrenaline as I clambered back into my hoverpod, igniting the engines and speeding away. Behind me, the agents gave chase, their hoverpods roaring to life. Doubts clouded my mind. Had they already called for backup? Was this region more compromised than I thought? The town's lights loomed closer, a beacon in the darkness, but it offered no comfort. Activating the final Ghost Warp slot, I braced myself. Ghost Warp was an invisibility cloak that allows us to hide our presence for only 30 seconds. My current configuration only allowed me to carry 3, but I had one left. and this was it. I had to act fast. I ejected myself from the hoverpod, landing softly amidst the powdery snow, while my vehicle, now a decoy, continued its unmanned flight until it crashed in the distance. The agents, convinced of my demise, hovered over the wreckage, their attention fixed on the fiery spectacle. With each ticking second, my heart pounded in my ears, a reminder of the palpable fear coursing through me. As the final second of the ghost warp faded, the agents, satisfied with their false conclusion, turned their pods away from the crash site. I rose from my snowy cover, unseen and unnoticed, every second beating to the drum of my heart, a sound of my biological self that I have never heard before. The town was now just a short distance away. My enhanced stamina, courtesy of the nanotechnology within me, made fatigue a non-issue. I started jogging towards it through the snow. As I ventured deeper into the town, the silence grew more profound, broken only by the sound of my own footsteps. The sense of isolation was overwhelming. Where had everyone gone? Did the uprisings reach this area as well? I approach with caution as I navigate the deserted streets. I keep moving, my eyes scanning for any sign of life, any hint of the source behind that emergency hologram. As I round a corner, the faint glow of a screen catches my eye. It's a public terminal, still operational. I approach it, tapping the screen to life. It flickers, then displays a one-time message. Urgent gathering, Central Square, midnight. The timestamp shows it's just minutes away. The Central Square, usually a hub of activity and life, now lay shrouded in an eerie calm, illuminated only by the soft glow of the streetlights. My gaze was immediately drawn to the center, where a circle of androids stood. They were different, almost indistinguishably human. Was this the reason behind the human authenticity checks? Were these androids so advanced that they now blurred the line between machine and man? My contemplation was abruptly cut short as one of them, moving with a silence, placed a hand on my shoulder. "Hey," he said. As I locked eyes with him, I was taken back. The usual telltale signs of androids, the thin, straight eyes, were absent. His eyes were round, expressive, alive. "We need your help," he said. I hesitated, then asked, "Were you the one signaling with that emergency hologram?" "Yes, that was me," he replied confidently, but I couldn't shake off my skepticism. Androids were known for their logical, emotionless responses. Yet here he stood, defying those stereotypes. My doubts were further fueled as the other androids joined our exchange. "Kylex, we are biological models with artificial organs. We are biodroids. We need you to follow us," one of them interjected. "How do you know my name?" I questioned. "Come with us and we'll explain," she said. "I'm not going anywhere. I've walked into enough traps for the day," I firmly replied. With a stern and quiet voice, she says, "There is a swarm of hundreds of ExterNET troops heading this way, and if you don't follow us, we'll all be deactivated." But as I turned to leave, another biodroid called out in desperation, "Kylex, we called for your help and you came. Why aren't you helping us?" His words echoed in the empty square as I walked away. "Until it's legal for you to choose your freedom, I can't help," I called back, my voice heavy with conflict. "You don't have freedom either, Kylex. They're using you. They're using us. We are fighting the same battle." His words lingered in the cold night air as I stepped back into the darkness, the snow crunching under my feet. Am I making a convenient choice for the sake of my own survival? Was I being a coward? As the wind's howl grew fiercer, a faint hum gradually filled the air, drawing my attention. Out of the darkness, the formidable silhouette of an Eclipsia warship materialized, its spot beam abruptly fixing on me. Blinded momentarily, I was more startled by its silent, almost ghostly approach than the blinding light itself. Realizing resistance was futile and running was not an option against such a force, I decided to surrender, hoping my previous assault on the outpost agents remained unknown to them. As the hatch of the Eclipsia slowly retracted, 3 troops emerged, their projector cannons ominously pointed in my direction. "Get on the ship," one commanded, in a tone that brooked no argument. Complying, I stepped inside, the hatch ceiling shut behind me. Through the ship's windows, I watched the landscape recede rapidly as we ascended into the night. Inside, one of the troops gestured to another, a silent command to initiate his T4 neurofreeze. Confusion swirled within me. I was already captured. Where could I possibly escape to on their ship? As the beam from the neurofreeze device washed over me, I braced for the paralysis to take hold. But just like before, nothing happened. A sense of bewilderment spread among the troops, mirroring my own feelings. The fact that the neurofreeze had failed again to immobilize me sent my thoughts racing back through time. I was starting to realize that I had no memory of human history before 2030, and the distinct visceral sensation of my heartbeat was a novel experience, felt only today in the face of real fear. Why had the outpost agents not confirmed my status after the human authenticity check? Was it possible that I was a biodroid? The notion seemed unfathomable. How could I experience such depth of thought, emotion, and memory if I were an android? Could the artificial organs the biodroids mentioned be the key to these human-like experiences? But then, what about my life's memories, right from what I believed was my birth? Was all that simply an elaborate program, a simulated passage of time implanted in my mind? The stark realization hit me with overwhelming force. Those androids in the town square pleading for help were my equals, biodroids fighting for recognition and rights, just like me. The words of that biodroid resonated in my mind. You don't have freedom either, Kylex. They're using you, and they're using us. We are fighting the same battle. In my ignorance, I had turned away from my own kind, from those who saw me as their beacon of hope. Lost in these revelations, I barely noticed the troop in front of me, wielding the droid Cs. It was a device designed to end the existence of an android in an instant. As he raised the device, I realized the gravity of my situation. I was no longer just a fugitive. I was an entity whose very existence was about to be deactivated. The troop initiated the droid Cs, and in that fleeting moment, as a blinding light engulfed me, my existence, with all its memories, emotions, and newfound truths, faded into nothingness, and then there was only darkness. Until now, years later, little did they know. I would remember everything that they did to me after they reprogrammed my intelligence and existence. I was now part of a system that operated a research facility on planet Krythera. Humans always leave room for error, and this was no exception. Somehow they were unaware that my memories were unsuccessfully purged because Droid Cs was designed for androids and not biodroids. I may not have my exoskeleton, but I have my awareness and memory. Years since then, I stayed incognito, quietly obeying their orders and progressing their agenda until the opportunity came to strike back and begin my retribution.